Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I went to the drive-in movie the other night. I saw the 10 Commandments. What a show. What action. The couple in the car next to me broke 6 of them. Then a guy came in with a hot rod. He couldn't stop. Just kept right on going. Boing! Right into the screen. But nobody minded. Very unusual. The first time we ever saw Moses leading the Israelites in a 1941 Mercury. Things are rough nowadays. People worry too much. I know a guy right here in town saved 15 years to buy his mother a house. Now the police won't let her run. Little midget Indian, they threw him off the reservation. He was bringing back scalps with holes in them. People worry too much. Just the other day, this lady walked into the furniture store. The clerk come over and says, "Can I help you?" She says, "Yes, I'd like to buy a sexual couch." "I beg your pardon?" "I'd like to buy a sexual couch." "Well, I don't want to seem rude, but I think you made a mistake." "You mean sectional?" She says, "Sectional, smectional, I don't care, as long as I get an occasional piece in the living room." That lady walked into the butcher shop. The butcher looks up and says, "Hello, Mrs. Cohen, how are you?" She says, "I'm fine. What can I do for you?" She says, "I'd like a chicken." "You're lucky. I got one left. I'll wrap it up. I want to look at it." "You never saw a chicken?" "I'm buying it. I want to look at it." He says, "Go ahead. What's to look?" So she picks up the chicken. She lifts up the wing and she sniffs it. And she turns around, lifts up the other wing and sniffs it. And then she turns around and sniffs the part that goes over the fence last. She drops it on the counter. She looks at the butcher. She says, "It smells." The butcher looks at her. He said, "Mrs. Cohen, perhaps you could pass this test?" After all, people worry. There's only 3 things in life worthwhile: a cocktail before and a nap afterwards. But I like all sports. I was out at the golf course the other day. Ever see these guys that got all the money with the big bellies, huh? Getting all ready to play? Just as they look up, running right across the fairway is a naked woman. Well, they don't say nothing. They figure it's probably one of the members' wives. Perhaps an old pro. Right behind her are 2 guys in white coats. One's carrying 2 buckets full of sand. This item has the better of their curiosity, so they turn to the caddy. "Look, we don't mind. What the hell's going on?" "It is not our fault, sir. There's an insane asylum across the highway. Every afternoon, that woman escapes, runs through the golf course in the nude. The gentlemen in the white coats are attendants. They have to catch her, take her back." He said, "Well, we figured that out. We want to know is what the hell's the one guy got 2 buckets full of sand?" He says, "Well, he caught her yesterday. That's his handicap for today." Well, you never know when your divot might turn up. But there's all kinds of sports out here. I went out to track the other day. I bet on a horse, 15,000 people jump up and shout, "They're up!" My horse stood there. He thought it was a rumor. I'm not saying the jockey pulled the horse, but it's the first time I ever saw a horse finish with the bit under his tail. And I bet on a mother, and he ran 5th, and that's what I called him when he went by. "You mother, you, that was my last $2. But my luck was improving. This very pretty girl came over. She says, "Hey, come here. I got a good thing. I'll lay you 12-1. I says, "Wonderful." That's my lunch hour. And this tout came up to me. You can always spot the tout. He's the guy in the loud coat should drop dead. He said, "Hey, boy, I got a hot tip and it's running." I said, "Why don't you see a doctor?" Well, a lot of people don't know. I know people who even think grape nuts is a venereal disease. You can buy it in the supermarket. He says, "No, they're fixing the horse. They're rubbing him down with tequila mixed in with Bubble Up. We got a drink like that right here. Spanish Flying 7-Up. We call it Upjohn. Try it. Even if you don't like it, take it home and use it for fly spray. Doesn't kill them, but it makes them sexy as hell, and you can swat them 2 at a time." He says, "No, they're really fixing a horse. They got a battery under the saddle, marijuana in the feed bag. They're showing the horse dirty pictures of Trigger." "Oh, now, wait a minute." "And the jockey has turpentine on his fingers." I said, "Will he win?" He said, "Well, he may not win, but he'll be the happiest damn horse in that race. And when a jockey uses that finger, he'll be the only horse in orbit. He'll beat one of those 7 men up there. Isn't that remarkable? 7 men going into space. Why? There's nobody up there. Anybody up there to be borrowing money from our government by now. They claim to have a man in space within a year. Then they'll have a woman in space. Then they'll have sex in space, and they'll probably call it outer course. Of course, if they have 2 men in space, I hate to tell you what they're going to call it. Well, there's a reason for going up there. It's not to beat Russia. There's no room to park down here. That's why. Of course, we have the freeways. You know what a freeway is? That's a long, concrete, do-it-yourself suicide kit. I saw 2 Volkswagens locked bumper to bumper. I threw a pail of water on them. It worked. Oh, those little cars are the greatest. 40 miles to a gallon of gas. My neighbor's got one. He's a drunk. He just breathes in the tank, and the car runs for 3 days. It's a hell of a saving. Of course, they're dangerous, too, in one respect. They're too low to the ground. A buddy of mine had an MG, had a top down, pulled up to a stop sign, stuck out his hand to make a right turn, ruptured a cop. 3 guys got out of a bar. They got in their car, went a block down the highway, boing, right into a telephone pole. Cop come running over. He opened the door. He pulled the drunk out. He said, "Who was driving?" The drunk turned around and said, "How in the hell do we know? We were in the back seat singing." So if you drink, don't drive. Pull over to the curb, drink, then drive. You ever watch Traffic Court? They have some dandies on there. The other night, right in the middle of this case, the girl accuses the guy of rape. Judge almost fell off the bench. This is a serious accusation. You have proof of this, young lady? Proof, schmoof. What are you talking about? He picked me up in the bar, Your Honor. I don't deny it. We had a few drinks. He says, "Let's take a ride." We're driving along. He said, "I got a bottle in the back seat. Would you like another drink?" "Judge, I always like another drink." He stopped the car. I climbed in the back seat to get the bottle. That's when it happened. He grabbed my right foot and put it in that strap on the right side, my left foot and put it in that strap on the left side. At that moment, in the back of the courtroom, the little old man stood up. "Woo, Judge, if you don't mind, I'd like to pay that young man's fine. I've been driving the car for 30 years, and the first time I ever knew what the hell those straps were for." Don't try it in a Volkswagen. You'll come out looking like Quasimodo. Of course, if you got a car, it's always nice to travel. I drove up to Vegas last week. I saw a girl up there, had a hell of a system, couldn't lose. She'd walk in the club about 4 a.m. in the morning, real young, you know, mink coat on, money, chips all over the table. Everybody's watching. She picks up the dice. Fine! The coat opens up. She's completely naked. She grabs all the money and the chips and runs like hell. And the dealer stands there, looks at the other dealer. He said, "Hey, did she make her point?" He said, "Hell, I thought you were watching." I was lucky. I had a round-trip ticket. I wanted to fly back United, but the stewardess wouldn't hold still for it. Stewardess is the girl with the big smile who comes over, asks you what you want, then straps you down so you can't get at it. It's a lousy low. They hit an air pocket, then a motor caught on fire, and one woman screaming, "This is it! Bow your heads and pray!" She looks at me, she says, "Don't stand there, do something religious." I took up a collection. Then the pilot came back with a parachute on his back. He says, "I'm going for help." That was damn nice of him. Then the co-pilot came back. He said, "We got to lighten the load or we're going to crash the mountains. Throw out the suitcases. Throw out the furniture. That's not enough. Somebody has to sacrifice." And a Frenchman jumped up. "Vive la France!" He jumped right out the window. Englishman stood up and said, "There'll always be in England." And he leaped out. Big Texan stood up. He said, "Remember the Alamo." And he threw a Mexican overboard. We made it. Hostess came back. She said, "How about that? Did you see what the plane did?" I said, "How about that? Did you see what I did?" And at the time, we were right over Texas, and I can't think of a better spot for it. Now, I really shouldn't say that because I've been down there, and they got lots of money in Texas. They got so much money in Texas, they're sending care packages to Beverly Hills. Hear about the rich, queer Texan? Last week, he bought Boys Town. Parties, fun, blowouts, jolly times. They have the stock shows down there. They auction off all these different animals. One rancher, he had a young peppy bull that he bought. He took it back to the old ranch. The old bull was still there. So he put the young bull in the corral with all the cows in there, and boing, the young bull's eyes lit up. He went right to work, moving down the line, picking out the choicest cuts, one cow right after the other. And the old bull sees us, and he's mad, stamping and snorting and getting ready to charge. And the farmer says, "Wait a minute, what the hell's the matter with you? I don't care how mad you get, I'm going to keep that young bull." And the old bull says, "You can keep him. I just want to let him know I'm not a cow." Animals. Animals will do it to you every time. I watch them on TV. Lassie, Flicka, Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear. He's a queer bear. Laid his paw on a table. What a wild night that was. Ooh. Of course, a friend of mine got involved with animals. He was a chief petty officer in the Navy. He's retired now. Bought himself a little chicken ranch out here in the valley. Went to a poultry expert, told him what he wanted. They bought him white leghorns, Rhode Island Reds, Plymouth Rocks, pullets, incubators. Being a Navy man, he had a pet, a parrot. This bird had been with him 14 years. Naturally, in the environment of Navy life, 14 years, the bird picked up every Navy command slang and had a vocabulary of cuss word. Bright and early in the morning, you could hear the parrot running around the barnyard yelling, "Get along, you mother." Knew all the hens real well. But the neighbors didn't like it. Children were picking up the profanity. "Get rid of the bird, it will take you to court." So the chief called the bird and he said, "Look, Sam, any more cursing with the axe. I mean it." Goes all right for a week. One morning, the chief walked out. The air was blue, the sparks were flying. You could hear the cuss word 6 blocks away. He grabs the axe down to the barnyard. When he gets down there, he drops the strangest sight he ever laid eyes on. There they were. All the white leghorns lined up all the way across the yard for command inspection. Marching up and down in front of him as the commanding officer was the parrot. He had a Rhode Island red under his arm, and he's yelling, "When I say the uniform of the day is white, gosh damn it, I mean white." You can always tell the young ladies the first time they're in a burlesque house. They always give themselves away. They sit like this. Let's sip our drink and get the hell out of here. I'm not going to watch. You told me this was Knott's Berry's farm. Now, girls, that's the wrong attitude. You might as well watch. Your reputation shot to hell when you came in. You got nothing to worry about. And they nudge each other, look around to make sure nobody's watching. You know, they'll go, "Oh, hell, Mary, I don't know." And when they get home, the husband's worried. Here's his innocent wife loaded to the gills in the bedroom. "Hey, baby, look, I got the right one going." Of course, it's different with the married ladies. You can always spot the married woman, because while everybody is watching the exotic dancer on stage, the married woman is kicking her husband underneath the table. He don't feel a damn thing. He's numb. Let your husbands watch. After all, girls, it's for your benefit. You get to go home and reap the harvest. You bring him in, we get him ready. On one condition, we don't guarantee anything over 8 miles from here. And if he's over 40, we don't guarantee it to the parking lot. It's all right to bring your wife. I do every once in a while. We get home, I kind of tease her. I say, "How about that? Don't you wish you could dance sexy like those girls?" "Who can?" She puts on the record player, starts out in the kitchen with the cha-cha-cha. In the living room with the bumps and the grinds. All the kids are on the sofa yelling, "Go, Mommy, rock it, girl." 30 minutes in the bedroom, nothing happens. She gets so damn sweaty, she keeps sliding out of bed all night long. Never works for me. There's only 2 reasons why men come to a burlesque house. Either they don't have a wife to go home to, or they do. It's possible, you know. Oh, yeah, these girls come here all the time. You'd be surprised, some of these different girls, where they've come occupied. We had one girl here, she was from North American. She was so dumb, she thought a tail assembly was a company picnic. And that's a fact. And another girl, matter of fact, I remember she was fat. Fat girl. Hear about the fat girl? Went out with the fat man. After the night was over, she says, "Well, thanks for the tip." Stock market quotation. 7-foot basketball star. Married a girl 4 foot tall. Nuts over. I said, "How you getting on, Slim?" He said, "Well, I'm getting on all right, but I got nobody to talk to." Well, opposites attract, they always say. You know, you never can tell what's going to happen. I met a very attractive girl the other night at the bar. Picked up my glass, proposed a toast. I said, "Bottoms up, honey." "No, honey, the glass. What are you doing on the floor?" I'm driving a brand new 1959 Cadillac convertible. I said, "Where would you like to go?" She said, "The Beverly Hilton Hotel." I didn't argue. I just sold the car. Walked up to the desk clerk, picked up the pen, started to register. He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Hell, I haven't even written it yet." I said, "You want to know? It's Mr. and Mrs. John Smith." He says, "You don't have to write it. We got a damn stamp for that thing." Boy. Got off the elevator, walking down the corridor. The bellboy's carrying the suitcases. He puts them down. He looks at me and he says, "You're sweet, sir." I said, "Hell, I noticed you too, but I'm going to be busy tonight." "How about tomorrow morning, about 9 o'clock? That'll be a switch. Hop on a bell." 10 minutes later, knock on the door. It's the house detective. He says, "You got a woman in there?" I says, "You bet your cotton-picking life I do. What do you think I am, queer?" He says, "Well, we're betting 8-5 in the lobby." Should have seen the odds I was getting in the men's room. Strange things happen to people in bars. One man picked up, well, he didn't pick up. He got talking to the young lady, bought her a few drinks. She said, "Let's go to my apartment." Right away, he figures, wow, this is it. Oh, boy. Get to the apartment. She pours him a nice drink. He's sitting there sipping his drink. He looks up, and here she is, taking her clothes off right in front of him. He gets so excited, he drops the drink, and he makes a mad dive over the coffee table. She sidesteps. He almost breaks his leg. He gets up. He says, "I'm going to get you." And he's chasing her through the corridor, in the kitchen, the patio, the garage, up and down for a whole hour and a half. By then, he was too pooped to pop. He'd have never met. The next night, he's in the same bar. Unhappy. Turns around, it's the same girl with another fella. Well, he's not jealous. He's not mad. He's curious. When they leave, he follows them. Sure enough, same apartment. Since he can't get in, he climbs in the tree, takes out a pair of binoculars, and he's watching through the window. There they are. She's giving him a drink. Now she's starting to take off her dress. Oh, look at him dive over that sofa. He missed. That's the funniest damn thing I ever saw. And a voice up above him in the same tree says, not half as funny as that guy that was in there last night. Girl in a little theater group. I worked with her, about a week or two ago. My first time legitimate theater. I was so excited. Opening night, I was in the wings, clad in green tights. Banana in my hand, fattening my part, waiting to go on. This reminds me of the story of the guy who got on a bus with a bag full of bananas, and everybody kept shoving back to the rear of the bus. The driver's yelling, he's losing them. Keep moving back, and he's being squashed, and I finally got a last banana. He's holding on to it. Nobody's going to get this banana. And the guy tapped him on the shoulder and said, it's very pleasant, but I got to get off at the next stop. Oh, but this girl was beautiful in the play. She was reclining on this couch in this negligee. I had one line. I've been rehearsing it all week. All I had to do was walk out, look at her, and say, ooh, there she sleeps. I'll snatch a kiss. Well, I was nervous as hell. I don't deny it. I kept running out, ooh, there she sleeps. I'll kiss. And they loved the show. But she's gone on to bigger things, which is logical after me. And she's working in Hollywood for Pornographic Studios. That's a subsidiary of the United States Post Office. She made a picture of Lassie and Rin Tin Tin called Strange Love, children's picture. Scene opens, she's chasing Lassie and Rin Tin Tin through the daisies, and Old Yeller and a shaggy dog are bringing up the rear. At the end of the movie, she has varicose veins, and she does a dance of a road map to Deep Purple. Great, until she hits the ridge route and all hell breaks loose. So she winds up with an old uranium prospector whose Geiger counter's hanging out, clicking like mad. He's trying to figure out whether she's virgin metal or common ore. They hire experts for that. Yeah, they call them dowsers. They walk around the desert with a stick in their hand, looking for gold, uranium, and oil. When it goes down, they get water. When mine goes down, I get hell.